They call themselves the pinnacle of evolution, the masters of their world. But what kind of intelligence greets the unknown with fire and steel? Earth was supposed to be a cradle of wonders, a world teeming with life and history, a beacon in the darkness of space. Instead, I found something far more terrifying, something even our most advanced simulations failed to predict: humanity. Their brilliance is matched only by their brutality, their ingenuity only by their savagery. They are the paradox of the cosmos. What happens when a species is too intelligent for its own survival? And what if that intelligence is paired with an insatiable thirst for dominance? The answer is simple. They conquer, they destroy, they adapt at a speed that defies reason. This is not speculation, it is fact, and I learned it the hard way. My name is Kaelen Vyr, an observer of the Zhirtal sovereignty, an empire that has mapped the stars for millennia. My people are not conquerors nor invaders. We are archivists, seekers of knowledge. We have studied the ruins of civilizations that fell to their own arrogance, deciphered the last messages of species that perished before reaching the stars. But never before have we encountered a species on the brink of expansion that could pose a threat to more than just themselves. My mission to Earth was a simple one: study, observe, and leave undetected. Our intelligence suggested that humanity was a species still confined to their planet, their wars fought among themselves, their reach limited. I believed I would be safe. I was wrong. I arrived in secrecy, my vessel hidden beneath the electromagnetic storms of their atmosphere. The descent was turbulent but controlled, my landing precise. I emerged into their world cloaked, unseen, ready to begin my research. The air was dense with chemical pollutants, the sounds of their civilization overwhelming. And yet, it was not. Their machines that first detected me, it was them. Within hours of my arrival, I went from an unseen observer to a hunted intruder, not because of technology, not because of science, but because of instinct, the kind of instinct that only true predators possess. The first sensation was pain. A sharp, searing pulse radiated through my body, a reminder of the fractured bones beneath my skin. I could feel the warmth of my own blood seeping into my suit, my breath shallow, controlled. Any sound, any movement could mean the difference between escape and death. The humans were close. Their voices echoed through the narrow space between the structures, their language rough, hurried. My translator was damaged, but I didn't need it to understand their intent. They were searching, hunting. The rhythmic crunch of their footsteps on the debris-littered ground sent a chill through me. These were not the movements of fearful creatures. These were predators, methodical and relentless. I pressed myself against the cold stone, the darkness my only shield. My mind raced through the options, few as they were. My mission had already failed. The only objective now was survival. The small data module in my grasp still pulsed faintly, a fragment of what I had gathered before my cover was shattered. A hollow victory. A beam of artificial light cut through the darkness, sweeping across the alley. My breath hitched as it passed just inches from where I hid. The human holding it hesitated, scanning the shadows. I could see the outline of their weapon, crude but effective. A single mistake would mean the end. Then a sound in the distance, a wailing alarm, diverted their focus. I seized the moment, forcing my battered body to move. Every step sent fire through my limbs, but hesitation was not an option. The extraction point was still far, buried deep within the wilderness beyond this unnatural sprawl of steel and glass. But the humans were not giving up. I could hear them adjusting, shifting, adapting. I was no longer just prey. I was a prize they refused to let slip away. Before we continue Kaelen's desperate escape, let's take a moment. What would you do if you were in his place? Hunted, injured, with no way to call for help? Would you fight back or keep running? If you're enjoying this thrilling journey, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us bring more epic sci-fi stories to life. And now let's dive back in. Kaelen's survival is far from guaranteed. Every shadow was a threat, every sound a potential ambush. The humans had no intention of letting me escape, and I could not afford to underestimate them again. My body ached with every movement, my fractured arm a dead weight against my side. I navigated the labyrinth of their city, darting between towering structures of cold metal and glass. The air was thick, polluted with the scent of chemicals and artificial light. This world was harsh, unrelenting. How had they survived it? For so long, I reached a narrow intersection and stopped, pressing myself against the rough surface of a wall. My breath was ragged, uneven. I risked a glance at my recording device, its blinking light a cruel reminder that my failure would not just be personal. The data I carried could reshape how my people viewed humanity. If I died here, it would die with me. Then, a hum from above. I looked up. A flying machine hovered overhead, its mechanical eyes sweeping the streets with cold efficiency. Their technology was crude compared to ours, but their ability to repurpose it for war was terrifying. I flattened myself against the structure, heart pounding as the searchlight passed over me. Seconds stretched into eternity before it. Moved on, but I knew my time was running out. The city ended just ahead, giving way to the wilderness. If I could reach the dense cover of their forests, I could use the terrain to my advantage. But as I stumbled into the underbrush, the scent of the earth mixing with the metallic tang of my blood, I realized something chilling. The city had been a battlefield of machines and weapons. The forest would be something else entirely. The transition from steel to soil was immediate, jarring. The towering structures of the city gave way to tangled vegetation, thick roots clawing at the earth like the remains of some ancient beast. The ground beneath me was uneven, slick with moisture, each step a battle to maintain balance. The air was different here, denser, alive with the scent of damp wood and decay. But the humans were still close, their voices cut through the darkness, fainter now but no less determined. They were not retreating. If anything, they were growing more methodical. The chaotic swarm of the city had been replaced with something worse, an organized, coordinated pursuit. These were not mindless creatures driven by instinct alone. They were strategists, planners. They had adapted. I forced my body forward, weaving through the thick undergrowth. My arm was nearly useless now, the pain a constant grinding ache in my bones. The wound on my side had slowed its bleeding, but I knew I was weakening. My only advantage was the darkness, the unpredictable terrain. If they cornered me here, I would not stand a chance. I crouched behind a massive tree, its twisted roots providing partial cover. My fingers fumbled at the control panel on my wrist, activating the beacon that would signal my extraction. A faint blue pulse responded, blinking in confirmation. The shuttle had received my call. Time until arrival, 20 minutes too long. The humans were moving again. I could hear the rustling of disturbed foliage, the snap of twigs underfoot, and then something else, a new sound, low, guttural, not human. I held my breath. Through the gaps in the leaves, I saw one of them, a human, moving cautiously, weapon raised. But they weren't focused on me. Their gaze was fixed on something deeper in the forest, their stance tense. Then the silence broke. A roar, deep and resonant, reverberated through the trees. It was unlike anything I had heard before. Primal, feral, a sound that did not belong to a world of machines and technology. The human hesitated, their grip tightening on their weapon. And in that moment I realized this planet did not belong to them either. The forest had its own rulers, and one of them had just joined the hunt. The roar sent a ripple through. The trees, a primal force that silenced even the humans. For a brief moment, their pursuit was forgotten. Their weapons, once aimed at me, now turned toward the deeper shadows of the forest. Something was out there, and it was hunting. I pressed myself against the gnarled bark of a massive tree, willing my body to disappear into the darkness. My injuries no longer mattered, only survival did. The humans whispered among themselves, their language a mix of urgency and uncertainty. I did not need a translator to understand their fear. Then, movement. The underbrush trembled, leaves rustled, branches creaked under the weight of something massive. A shape emerged from the darkness, hulking, quadrupedal, its eyes reflecting. The dim light like molten embers. Its hide was thick, ridged with bony protrusions, its breath a heavy, wet rasp that sent vapor curling into the cold air. This was no ordinary predator. It was something ancient, something that had survived Earth's endless cycles of extinction. And now it had found new prey. The humans reacted first. A sudden burst of light, one of them had ignited a flare, its crimson glow painting the scene in flickering red. The creature's head snapped toward the movement, its lips peeling back to reveal rows of jagged teeth. Then, chaos. The humans opened fire, their crude weapons roaring into the night. Muzzle flashes illuminated the trees in erratic bursts, bullets tearing into the beast's armored hide. It barely flinched. With a guttural snarl, it lunged. One of the humans screamed, their body disappearing beneath the creature's weight. Bones cracked, the others scattered, their disciplined, formation dissolving into sheer panic. I did not wait to see who survived. Summoning every ounce of strength, I moved. My extraction beacon pulsed steadily, a reminder that my only salvation was still minutes away. The sounds of battle faded behind me as I pushed deeper into the forest, my vision swimming from exhaustion and blood loss. I had thought the humans were the ultimate predators of this world. I had been wrong. The screams behind me faded, swallowed by the dense canopy of the forest. But I did not slow down. My body was failing, my injuries dragging me toward collapse, but my instincts screamed louder than the pain. I had to move, I had to survive. The terrain was treacherous, each step a gamble. The earth beneath me was uneven, littered with tangled roots and thick mud that clung to my feet like living tendrils. My fractured arm was now nothing more than dead weight, sending jolts of agony through my body with every movement. My breath came in sharp, ragged bursts. I checked my wrist. Display 14 minutes until extraction, too long. The humans had been scattered by the beast, but they would not stay that way for long. They adapted too quickly, their survival instincts just as ruthless as the monster that had attacked them. If any of them had survived, and I had no doubt that at least some had, they would regroup, and they would not give up. A distant gunshot confirmed my fears. They were still hunting. I pressed forward, weaving through thick foliage, my senses sharpening despite my exhaustion. Every sound mattered. The chirping of unseen creatures, the rustling of leaves in the wind, and then something closer, something moving. I dropped to the ground just as a light swept through the trees above me. A mechanical whir accompanied it, a drone, sleek and angular, scanning the forest floor with cold efficiency. My body tensed. The humans had not only regrouped, they had escalated their efforts. The drone hovered, its sensor sweeping dangerously close to my position. I held my breath. My camouflage was damaged, barely functional. If it detected me, I would not outrun what followed. I reached into my survival pack, my fingers fumbling for one of my last emergency tools, a disruptor beacon. Small, primitive, by my people's standards, but effective. Activating it, I tossed the device several meters away. A faint pulse of electromagnetic interference rippled through the air. The drone's movements hesitated, its sensors flickering. Then, with a sudden shift, it veered toward the disturbance. I did not wait for it to recover. I pushed forward, ignoring the stabbing pain in my side. The trees thinned ahead, revealing the edge of a ravine, a sheer drop into darkness. Behind me, the forest erupted with noise, human voices, heavy footsteps, more drones closing in. The humans had seen my signal. They knew I was here. I was out of time. With no other option, I stepped back, braced myself, and leapt into the abyss. The world fell away. For a moment, there was only weightlessness, a sickening void where time stretched, and the only sound was the rushing wind. Then, impact. My body slammed into the steep slope of the ravine, tumbling down in a violent spiral of broken branches and loose rock. Pain exploded through me as I hit the ground hard, my already battered form barely responding to my desperate attempts to move. I lay there, gasping, my vision swimming. My fractured arm was now completely useless, the exposed plating of my suit cracked and sparking. My extraction beacon still blinked, its silent countdown ticking toward salvation. 9 minutes. The world around me was shrouded in darkness, the thick canopy above blocking most of the moonlight. But I was not safe. Even through the ringing in my ears, I could hear them. The humans had reached the edge of the ravine. Their voices were tense, but I could tell. They were not deterred. They were discussing ways to descend. Of course, they would not let me escape. I forced myself up, biting back the pain, and staggered forward. The ground was damp, the air thick with the scent of earth and decay. My legs threatened to give out, but I pushed on, deeper into the unknown. Then another sound, low, rhythmic breathing. Close. I froze. The forest had gone still. No insects, no wind, just that slow, deliberate inhale and exhale. It was not human. A shape moved in the darkness, a silhouette barely visible against the thick vegetation. It was massive, larger than the creature that had attacked the humans before. Its eyes, faintly luminescent, tracked me with a patient, unsettling focus. I had entered its domain. The humans were coming. The predator was watching, and I had nowhere left to run. The silence was suffocating, the predator's glowing eyes locked onto me, unblinking, intelligent. It did not lunge. It did not snarl. It was studying me, assessing whether I was prey or something else entirely. Above, the humans had begun their descent. The faint glow of their flashlights flickered through the trees, their voices sharp, urgent. They were relentless, their will to hunt as strong as their will to survive. They did not know what waited for them in the dark. I had seconds to decide. I reached into my damaged suit, my fingers brushing against my last functioning energy flare, a tool designed not for combat, but for survival. A calculated risk. With a sharp inhale, I activated it. A pulse of blinding light erupted from my palm, illuminating the entire ravine in stark, unnatural brilliance. The predator recoiled, letting out a deep, guttural snarl, its elongated form now fully visible, sleek, powerful, covered in jagged plates of organic armor. It was unlike anything I had seen before. Something born from Earth's untamed depths, hidden from human knowledge. The humans hesitated at the sudden flare, then chaos. The beast moved, no longer hesitant. It lunged, not at me, but toward the descending hunters. A human barely had time to scream before the creature was upon them, its claws tearing through flesh and armor alike. Another fired their weapon, a short, panicked burst that did nothing to stop the inevitable. I ran. The beacon on my wrist flashed faster. 2 minutes to extraction. The ravine sloped upward, leading to a clearing. My legs burned, my lungs felt like they would collapse, but I did not stop. The screams behind me were short-lived, replaced by the sound of tearing, the wet crunch of bone. Then a new sound, a deep, rhythmic thrumming. I reached the clearing just as my ship decloaked above, its sleek form descending through the thick mist. The boarding ramp extended, its lights guiding me towards safety. Behind me, the predator stood at the tree line, blood dripping from its maw, but it did not follow. It simply watched. I met its gaze one final time before staggering. Onto the ramp, the hatch sealed, the engines roared, the ground fell away. As Earth shrank below, I clutched the recording device still strapped to my chest. It contained everything, proof of humanity's relentless nature, of their ability to adapt, to pursue, to kill. But more than that, it held a revelation. Humanity was dangerous, but Earth itself, it was worse. And I had no doubt, one day, when they finally reach beyond their skies, they will not be the ones doing the hunting. End transmission. Kaelen escaped. But the truth he carries is more dangerous than any wound. Humanity is relentless, but Earth itself hides horrors yet to be understood. And one day, the galaxy will learn what true predators look like. If this story left you on the edge of your seat, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next sci-fi adventure. Let us know in the comments. Do you think humanity is ready for what's out there? Because one thing is certain, the hunt is only beginning.